Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much. This is the third and final meeting of the day. Hooray! So, this suggestion, in this directness, in this isness, in this without a second, in the silent expanse of this apparent existence, this appearance, there is no witness. There is no observer to validate its presence. For what needs validation when being simply already is? It already is. It does not need a tool or a witness or an observer. If perchance the act of witnessing ceased, would the essence of this appearance dissolved into oblivion? If but for a fleeting moment, awareness abandoned its post, would reality, this isness, this emptiness, would crumble beneath its absence? Or would the tapestry of this apparent appearance remain unchanged, unfaced by the web of illusion, unmoved by the ebb and flow of apparent awareness or consciousness? The notion of witnessing is a mere construct of the mind. It fades into the shadows of illusion. Consider the act of running. I was running earlier. Does the road cease to unfold if the mind momentarily forgets its role as the runner? Does the journey unravel without the vigilant eye of perception? No. What is persists, unchanged, unyielding in its continuity, indifferent to the whims of the observation. So what is this directness, this radical, just this, just this without a second, just this? It's a symphony of existence. It's playing out in a theater of isness, whether it's in a quiet contemplation of a chair, listening to this, looking at this meeting, the absorption of words on a page when you're reading a book, getting into the story, the resonance of music in the ears, or savoring every morsel of the food and making yum sounds, or even the chaos of the thoughts in the mind. Each moment is just an echo of what can never be known. There's nothing more, nothing less, simply the ever unfolding, present aliveness, pregnant with the fullness of nothing being everything. Yet that elusive sense of self is sincere, it's captured in the web of the illusion. It yearns for complexity amidst the simplicity of this apparent appearance. It searches for the meaning where there's no meaning, grasping at the shadows of the past projections of the future. But in the innocence of a childhood, there existed a purity of apparent experience. It's unencumbered by the burdens of consequence or the shackles of time, or what are people going to say? As children, every sensation was immediate, like boom. Every emotion is raw and unfiltered. There was no concern for tomorrow, no lamentation for yesterday, only the boundlessness expanse of the present moment, ripe with any kind of like possibility and brimming with this apparent life. And so perhaps, maybe perhaps, the simplicity is not a journey. It's just seeing what is, just seeing what is without you, because there's no you to see this, where the essence of this apparent existence is very immediate, felt in every breath. Easy to cry, easy to belly laugh, snapping the, the knee for no reason at all. And the beauty of just being, not a being like just being, is found in the simplicity of this immediateness. In this immediateness, there's a seeming appearance of a reaction, but there's no cause and effect. There's an appearance of an interaction, but there's no other. There's an appearance of another, but there's no witness to it. It's just really immediate. It's without a second. It's without a clue. So this coming and going and happening, towing and froing is just the isness that seemingly never moves in movement, in dance, in cyclical appearances. This and not this. Opposite seems to appear, but without an opposite. If you see a child, if you take away the candy, it will cry. If you give a candy, it will laugh. It's so immediate. It does not try to make something really simple so complex. Like, for example, if the candy is taken away, then the child is not going to think that there must be something that is missing in this life. The reason that the universe is not giving me the candy, there must be something that I need to seek to get that candy back. It's just simply the disappearance of a candy. Or when the child receives a candy, it's like it just takes it. Um, it does not try to avoid, you know, the simplicity of it or complicate it with trying to understand what is happening. Is this candy? Is it real? Is it sugar free? Is it gluten free? Is it vegan? Was this? So what's being expressed here is that what this is does not need any validation, does not need any observation, does not need any witnessing, does not need any contemplation. And there's nothing wrong or right about contemplation, but it's not really necessary. Does not even need inquiry, although inquiry might happen, and that's completely all right. It does not need you. It does not need a you because a you does not really exist. It's actually the observer, the witness, but it's an illusion. Again, this is not to put down anything that's being thought out there. It's just a wild, suggestion that maybe trying to figure this out is still coming from that position of a witness trying to figure out something that it's witnessing when the one that's trying to figure out the witness, the observer, the you, the mind is actually not there. It doesn't exist. Outside of a thought, outside of a feeling, outside of ideas, outside of sensation, outside of labels, outside of memory, outside of anything that has anything to do with you, it doesn't exist. Simply, it does not exist. It can be imagined, it can be thought about, it can be studied, but simply those are just wild imaginings of something that does not require an imagination, something that does not require comprehension. Again, simply something that does not require you. And it doesn't matter if there's a felt sense of you. It does not matter if there's a felt sense of separation, but there is no witness to it. There's no observer to it. And it's quite devastating for someone that practices, um, and it's unacceptable for someone that has been trying to be aware of what's happening. So to conclude this meeting, everything fades, everything goes, everything dissolves, but nothing really happens. Nothing is really observed. Nothing is really known. There's no witnessing this. There's no figuring it out. There's no toddler non-duality meetings. I hope not. Imagine, Imagine little kids trying to figure out what is. And I talk about my little nephew. That's why for, for some character that's young and sees this as it is, it makes total sense that it does not make sense. But when an apparent character that has gone through the whole cycle of seeking awareness, consciousness, um, anything, you know what? There's nothing wrong or right about that. This becomes something that is unacceptable. It becomes something that is quite challenging because it obscures, I mean, it demolishes the belief system that there is something that is being missed. So, in the absence of consciousness, awareness, or a two, or witness and everything, it's this. Nothing outside of this. Just this. If you have any questions, please go ahead. And it's a relief, actually. It's quite a relief. It's like trying to drive a car, learning how to drive, learning all the traffic laws, learning all of the road signs when you're in a kiddie car. Trying to be aware of the road, right? All that kind of stuff, right? It's just fun and games.
Mm.
Bolivar. Hello, Bolivar.
Hi.
Hello.
Uh,
Hi. I
it's
saw
funny.
some friends from former Buddhist group today for lunch, and yeah, it's totally unacceptable for them. It's
Yeah.
impossible to talk about it,
Oh yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah.
belief.
It's
I don't want to talk about it, but sometimes mm, I mean, they're still my friends, but you know, we are on a we're on a total different page now, somehow. And even yeah, I tried it once when I said, yeah, of course, if you could do it better, you would do it better, yeah, but you don't have a choice. But that's the maximum that I could say. I mean, yeah,
yeah. It's
I don't want to
challenging,
be
of course,
arrogant, but
right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's challenging, but
it's
it is also what it
unacceptable to
is.
me.
You know what? It's and you know what?
Mm.
Um there's an acceptance, for it. It's okay, right? But it's hard to talk to my ex friends, you know what I'm saying, that all they talk about is spirituality and all they talk about is contemplating. And it's okay. Sometimes I suggest, I'm like, hey, how about that hockey, or in Canada we talk about hockey, right? But it is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's the challenging notion that there's no, because rather than in the directness, if there's no witness to this, then there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing right as well.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels there's still a witness.
What's that?
Sometimes it feels that there's still a witness.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, because it's a dream of two.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? It's not about getting rid of the witness or nothing, because it's not there. It's just like another idea. It's another
Mhm.
concept, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that was so shocking, right? When it's just direct, you're like, oh my goodness, it's this. There's no more middleman or it's just this, yeah. It's shocking, but it is. Thank you, Petra. And I think Bolivar wanted to say something. Bolivar, sorry, go ahead. Oh,
I just wanted to say how funny it is. We spent so many years reinforcing the observer. Like, I'm watching, I'm consciousness, I'm out of everywhere, everything, and I'm watching. And then suddenly you see the observer is just like a mirage. Like,
it
it's
is.
it's
Yeah.
so it crumbles very easily when listening to you, Emerson. Yeah, you see the illusion, the frailty of these constructs, right? And it just crumbles.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
there's
so
no more
easy.
middleman.
It's so simple, right? Because there's no one here that knows. There's no one there that knows because all knowing is just it's irrelevant, right? And it's easy to, for example, when I was learning all of that before, um I was just regurgitating, what everyone's saying, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And in this directness, you know what I'm saying? It's anything goes, right? But there's no
The-
more middleman, there's no more witness, there's no more observer, there's no more awareness or anything like that because then you get and then becomes a practice over and over again, right? I have to be aware now. You have to be do
yeah.
this, right? Or how do I get to that awareness, aware of awareness, that kind of thing. Again, there's nothing wrong or right about it. It's just what is. It's just really, but it complex, it makes something simple so complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the word you use it a lot. It's directness and
Directness. Yeah.
yeah, directness.
Yeah.
That's a key word.
Yeah.
Directness.
Directness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's even
immediately.
it's even don't trust even anyone that anything it's being said, right? In the directness, you don't know what to say.
No.
Although saying happens.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Jeffrey. Oh, Jeffrey, sorry. Yeah, Jeffrey's question. I'm able to let go of myself when all is well, but when things go wrong or back there's pain, I come back to fix a problem. That seems what seems to happen, right? So it's a myriad of apparent experiences, but really there's no experiencer, right? So there's really no you that's letting go. It's just free. It's just direct. But when it seems that it's not what you think it is when pain happens, that's also just pain directly. I know it's hard to comprehend that, but it's so simple, right? Pain is happening. So of course there's no um feeling of letting go because it's pain, which is also it, by the way. Directly, pain is it. But when you say that it is my pain to fix, then that is the almost like an intervention of an alien trying to fix something that already is. So when pain appears, it's just pain. Um, and what might appear with the pain is how do I fix this? How do I get rid of it? And that's okay. That's completely all right. But
So
fixing happens. Oh, sorry.
no doctors, no doctors. You don't go
Doc
to a doctor.
doctors are also it. This is not about bypassing it.
but, but when you go to a doctor, it's because you're trying to fix the problem. No,
That's just what happens too. It's not you even doing it. So going to doctor happens, fixing the problem happens.
I'm sick of going to doctors.
But going to doctor still happens, doesn't it?
It's a habit. It's an addiction
It is what it is, yeah.
because they tell you the doctors promise they're going to make things better, and you believe them,
Of
and then
course.
you get hooked.
Of course, yeah. Of course. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's damn if you do, damn if you don't kind of thing, right?
Everything is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So go to the doctor or don't go to the
It
doctor.
doesn't
Say,
matter.
all right. I'm not
you
going
you
anymore.
you think you're choosing it, but you know what? It happens or not. That's the thing,
I
right?
don't want I don't want to go anymore.
I didn't advise you not to go, by the way. The directness is that it is what it is, no matter what you do or not do. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Right? It is what it is, no matter what it is. Um, but yeah, when it's seen that it's just happening, um, as it is, so to speak. If we take away the thought track or the seeming Jeffrey, right? It will still go or not go in the appearance
who's
anyway.
who's going then?
It
It's going.
it's going.
And it's going to do what it's going to do.
Yes, it's it's
I'm
it's
out of the I'm out of the picture.
y- you've never been in the picture.
Okay. All
you
right.
just you just think you're in the picture, right? And that's what I thought too. That's what I thought. If I do this, if I do that, so I kept on challenging. It's almost like this UFC fight right away with what is trying to fight it and everything, right? There's nothing that I can do. It is already. So going to doctor happens, all that kind of stuff, right? Or not.
Or not.
Yeah. Thank you,
All
Jeffrey.
right. Yeah.
Simply it is like the witness, the observer, the me, the character. It's like the imaginary friend taking over. Somehow in the story you forgot that your imaginary friend just became your thoughts. Did you guys have imaginary friends when you were younger? Yeah. Mine was Jesus.
He's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, he is. No wonder when I became a spiritual teacher, I served the people on the streets, selfless service, that kind of thing. Yeah. I kept on turning my cheek, but no one wanted to slap me, so
Jesus was a non-dualist, wasn't he?
everything is non-dual already.
Yeah.
Boulevard goes, yeah, Jesus said me and my father are one. Yeah. I wonder if you saw the movie Revolver. There's a scene in the elevator. I can't remember it. Is that by Guy Ritchie? Yeah, I can't remember it, but I've seen it a long time ago. Yeah. 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 So having an imaginary friend or thoughts is just like schizophrenia, basically. It's like that movie. You might know this movie. Um, um, what's that movie again? Fight Club. So in the Fight Club, he was convinced that, the opening scene, there was this Tyler Durden, which is Brad Pitt, and then the other guy, the narrator, right? And at the end of it, you know, he was trying to point a gun, but it was just him pointing at a gun at himself, right? So when everything seems to dissolve, that imaginary friend is seen as just something that comes and goes, like an imaginary friend, like a fantasy, like a dream that comes in and out. So the me is the dream, the I is the dream, the observer is the dream. Are all relationships an illusion? Yes, that feels so naggingly real. Hence, it's an illusion. It's a well played illusion, right? It's well played. It's easy to get caught up, you know what I'm saying, in the illusion of relationships.
It's the drama of relationships.
Oh yeah, if you want drama, relationships is
Yeah,
it.
that's what it's like.
It's it's like a stereo, double vision. Not only you're worrying about your thoughts, now you're worrying about the thoughts of the person that you're in a relationship with. Double trouble, right? What does she think of me? What does he think of me? That kind of thing. It just keeps on going. What is this character thinking? And it misses the point that there's no other.
The
Because
tug of
every
war.
day you wake up to that person, saying, uh, whatever it says, and it seemingly triggers you, right?
But you have relationships.
There's no one that has relationships. Relationships
Ah,
appear.
they
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it
Okay.
happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why fight it?
Yeah. Just appears, right? So, um, it is what it is too.
I see. I see.
Like Alice going down the rabbit hole, no thing makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense whatsoever. Trying to make sense of it is quite fascinating, right? Because it reinforces that there's someone that's making sense of it. So everything that appears, it's like a dream does not make sense. Sometimes you're drinking tea on the top of a volcano. But you don't question it, right? Because it's just what seems to be happening. Or or you're driving your brand new UFO, you know what I'm saying? And you're an alien in a different planet. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes you're flying, right? Or sometimes you're leaping from one building to one building. And at that very apparent moment in the dream, although there's no moment in the dream, it's all seen as reality.
What about science? Science is all about making sense of it.
That's why it doesn't make sense, science.
Science doesn't make sense. The theory, the theory, the theory of relativity led to the atom bomb. I
Oh,
think that
totally. Yeah, totally. Right. But if you look at that one too, you know what I'm saying? It can keep on going and going and going and going, right? It's almost trying to figure out the ineffable, and it comes with a whole bunch of theories about something that cannot be figured out. Um, and it doesn't make sense, right? For example, that theory of something so infinitesimal, something really, really small can expand into this massive power, right? Or the
Big Bang.
discovery, yeah, the discovery of atoms, right? Like when people discovered the atom, the next atom in a molecule is one atom here, and then the next atom is like California or something. It's all empty. And if you look at, even Einstein said it, right? The greatest illusion is the greatest of separation. Or the reality is a very persistent one. Reality is an illusion, but a very persistent one, right? So it sees through. There was a conversation with a scientist and basically said that even the free will cannot be proven. Time cannot be proven. There are theories about it, right? There is findings that it's an illusion and everything, but even saying it's an illusion is also just another landing. So in this vast expanse of isness, right, everything seems to appear, right? It can appear as reality, and then you can see through it as an illusion, but the one that's seeing through it is also an illusion. So which one is it, right? So that's what I'm trying to say here is, in the directness, nothing makes sense, and that's okay. Because the the seer is unknowable. What it's seeing is also unknowable. So the unknowable is seeing the unknowable. So when the unknowable is seeing the unknowable, then it's just the unknowable. There's no seeing.
So it's all a mystery.
You can say that. Yeah, the mystery is that there's no mystery as well.
Isn't
Because it tries to, mystery and no mystery, paradox, no paradox. It's just another opposites and everything, right? Tries to tries to create. So there is nothing that is opposite is what's trying to be expressed here, which is a mystery, right? Which is not a mystery because there's no opposites. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And it breaks the brain, right? Because the brain can't comprehend it. The brain comes in two hemispheres, right? It tries to, process polarity of this and that and everything. So it can't be figured out.
my brain breaks and then it reassembles itself.
Are
It
you sure?
doesn't want to. It doesn't want to go away.
Then it's not really there. Then if it breaks and it reassembles itself, it's an illusion then, right? There you go. Thank you, Jeffrey. Even looking at my dog is such a mystery, right? It's so wild and free. Looking at, like looking at trees, looking at the blades of grass, looking at the candle, looking at you is a mystery. It's a mystery. It's beautiful. It's like looking at love over and over again. Not love as I know it, but love as unknowable as it is.
Hey, Emerson.
Oh, hi, Susie.
Hi.
Hello. Where are you? There you
Hi.
are.
Yesterday I was watching this documentary on TV. It was called A Bug's Life, but not like to be confused with the cartoon. But it was
Yeah.
like still I think it was
What's
for
it called?
kids. It was called A Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a cartoon thing of that, but this
Oh,
was like
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
documentary.
Oh, documentary.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, this was a documentary, and it was about bugs primarily, obviously,
Yeah.
and this one was about ants and other ants, like ant colonies attacking other ant colonies,
Yeah.
and it's so like we're so the same as an ant, like. An ant doesn't need to know that it's an ant in order for it to be an ant. It just does anting. And these ant colonies go in with like a vengeance into these other ant colonies, completely
Wow.
destroy them,
Yeah.
attack them, kill 30,000 insects a day,
Wow.
in production. But there's just no residue with this. Like, they
No.
don't think they're bad and they're not doing it because of any reason. There's no
No.
reason. There's just this
Yeah.
happening. And it's not even a continuality because it's like saying that there would be time in that. But there's just mystery,
It is. Yeah.
this
It,
mystery of happening. And yeah, it was really cool
yeah.
just to see that was just. Yeah, that's the same say I have is the same say as an ant.
It is. Yeah. It is. It is. It is quite
It's
beautiful.
not
So,
doing it. I'm not doing it. It's
yeah,
not doing it. There's no one in here. There's no one in there. It's just life anting.
it
And
is. And that's what's so simple about it, that that we think that there's a witness to this, an awareness to
yeah,
this, right? We think that there's a process to this. We think that there is a something missing to this, right? It's whole and
yeah,
complete. Even when you think that there's something missing, that's a part of everything, isn't it?
yeah. And
Yeah.
like, you don't need to be there in order for anything to happen because
Yeah,
there's a quite active life there, even a life in war. But
it
without a
is.
story, it's just this explosion of happening. It's not anything. They don't think it's a war.
No.
I mean, I
It's
don't know for the end, but there doesn't seem to be any
no,
residue.
there's no thinking happening.
There's
It's
no
just
ant
yeah.
psychologists and yeah,
That's
anyway, I
it.
just thought
It's
I'd share that. I
this
thought it
is
was interesting.
so in this wildness, right? You have seemingly, warring ant, colonies and everything out to destroy each other. There is gentle, snow falling sometimes in the morning. There's the roughness of the volcano erupting, right? There is a fleet of swans, or Canadian geese, kind of like, going to the south and everything for a warmer thing. There is crabs, kind of like it's just fascinating, right? And then here we are, what thing we're thinking of, like, what does this mean? What's the
Um,
purpose of this? See it, watch it. I'll say it's a beautiful show, right? Here we are on our couch, kind of like going, what's the meaning of that ant?
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's so simple. Yeah, it's so simple. I
Like
like
a
to watch
like a
nature actually.
yeah, like if I give like a an ice cream cone to my little nephew, he licks it right away. Thank you. But his his 16-year-old, 14-year-old sister will be like, "Is this dairy free? Is this
That's funny. Yeah, yeah.
how much grams sugar?" When they get
Yeah, well, I
conscious.
guess once the story starts to
Yeah,
happen, once
yeah,
the idea
yeah.
that there's a me, then there's a whole mental construct and what can happen and la la
Yeah,
la. Kid just
yeah,
says yes because it's the immediacy of
yeah.
just what's happening without all of that. Blah.
Yeah, it's the immediacy of what's occurring, right? It's the immediacy. Even if you look at kids, the way that they interact like toddlers and everything, right? It's just um they can push each other and cry, and then the next minute they're playing again. I saw this
Yeah,
happen with my brothers that are
yeah,
twins,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I have this is going to be embarrassing if to listen to it. When they were little kids, the little babies, right? You know what? They were so cute, right? They looked identical, completely identical, and they played tricks to confuse people, even as little kids, right? It's wild, right? But it's all innocence,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
one time I just saw them, it's funny. Um, I was babysitting them and I just looked at them and then um, they pee their pants and they're playing with their pee,
Oh,
going like this with the water. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to
yeah,
change
yeah,
their diaper.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's just innocence, right? It's just immediacy, and they're
Yeah,
so happy playing with pee.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It
And
is
I
what it
guess
is.
I mean, it's innocence here too, like,
It's all
I
innocence
guess
by
the
we
only
just
difference is that there's an idea that there's someone doing that.
yeah, we just think that we are,
Like,
we're
that's the
not.
only difference is like, there's just nothing wrong with it because it's just, playing with pee, as you say,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
but like,
Even
if I started to play with pee,
that's also it. I would not do it anymore, but
Oh, nice talking to you, Emerson.
nice talking to you too, Susie.
Aren't we all innocent?
There's no we, it's just innocence.
Yeah. When no one's to blame. No one's to blame.
No, no, and even if blaming happens, that's not to
Nothing.
blame too. Yeah, even if
Yeah.
judgment happens, that's it too. You know what? It's just a never ending, that's it. That's it. That's it. Even that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's wild, right? Because we think it's not it, but it has nothing to do with not it. It has nothing to do with our thinking, but thinking is also it. But there's no one behind it. There's always no one behind it. So if there's no one behind it, then it's all innocence.
Exactly.
It's basically like one hand clapping. It's wild. It's wild, right? It's beyond the imaginings because the imaginings always thinks of the imaginary friend, the imaginary thought, imaginary me, imaginary feelings, imaginary sensations. They can appear as absolutely real though, right? Pain appears as absolutely real, but it comes and goes. It's not who you are. It's the appearance of what is appearing as pain, not pain, feelings, no feelings, thoughts, no thoughts. It's an opening and closing. Bubbles, clouds. Mhm. And if you look at a baby like an infant, it does not even know that it's outside of the womb. What is the sound on clapping?
Um,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Suddenly everything came together, and
Yeah.
I saw nothing, but it was full
Yeah.
and no distinctions, just full of itself.
Yeah. It's so direct and clear, isn't it? Right? It's just direct and clear. Beautiful.
Mm.
We'll leave Jeffrey in eternity for now. Settle in the infinite there, Jeffrey.
That's where I want to be.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. Hey, Emerson, back to the ants. I just had this thought that I remembered in the documentary there was this like there's a queen ant obviously, and then there was this ant and it was protecting the queen ant
Yeah.
from being killed by all of these other, attacking ants from the other colony. And what kind of like with, like we put ourselves on the projection of what that story is happening, but
Mm,
like without like sometimes like in this message you can be confused that like what will I do if something bad happens, but there
yeah.
was still protection there.
Yeah.
So like it's like without me controlling things,
Yeah.
without me doing things, something bad will happen.
Yeah.
But it's just looking after the self, just like the ant,
Yeah.
like there's this a protectiveness, but the ant didn't go and think, oh shit, I better go and protect the ant, the queen ant. It
It
just
just
happened.
happens. It's
It
hive.
just happened. And
Yeah.
and that's like filling in the dots. Like you think that
Yeah.
you need to fill in the dots, but it's just life happening. And it doesn't mean that you
Yeah.
will protect
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, it's just that's not required. Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it was quite interesting.
It's funny, right? Because everything is just seemingly coming and going. And then there is the character that wants to hold on to what's coming or going.
Yeah.
So it stretches the illusion into this kind of like, like, I have to hold on to that glimpse. And then it goes. And then
Yeah.
when the stark, pain comes, right? I don't want to let go of that. I don't want that. But that's also it.
That's a relief, to be honest with you, because there was a huge glimpse here, for such a long time, and then there was not,
Yeah.
and the not was like, oh shit, I just want to feel that,
Yeah.
ugh. Um, and then and there's no then obviously,
Yeah.
but what happened was it was just everything was the same. It was no
Yeah.
longer needing to be something in order for it to be. It's fucking ridiculous even
It
when I try to
is.
say that. because
Yeah.
it's like this is it, but this is not it. It's all it.
It's all
And so
it.
now
Yeah.
there's just such a freedom. Like I can watch normal TV. You know, when you're seeking and spirituality and all of that, it's just like, here was this idea that I needed peace as much as a drowning man wants air. It was so dramatic, like da, 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 and just this devotion and now there's just such a relaxation because like there is no filling in the in the dots, and
Yeah.
so now there's just such a relief because there's not all like what am I going to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be an idea of it,
Yeah.
but it's just like this natural unfolding. And
It is. It's so ordinary now, right? And that's what's beautiful is that it's not trapped in these delusions of grandeur or the
yeah,
limitations of, what you should do or not do. It's freedom in its completeness, basically. Freedom to just watch TV, freedom not to do anything, freedom as it is. Um,
yeah,
freedom as it is, right? Freedom appearing as what it is. When I used to be a teacher, that I used to do retreats after retreats after retreats, um, I would not watch TV because I thought that energetically it could affect my lectures.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Corruption.
Yeah,
yes.
like it's almost like a dirty little secret, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
that you have that you don't when you're not practicing doing spiritual things
yeah,
and or going to a meeting or whatever it is, listening or
yeah,
and there's just such a freedom
yeah. There's
in just what's happening because like that I mean it is, it's ridiculous. It's
yeah.
ridiculous that there's a fire happening.
Yeah, yeah. And then you regard yourself as a conduit to higher, thing, right? You're like
Yeah.
a vessel or something or an avatar,
Yeah.
saying and
Yeah.
it creates this kind of like, and then you speak really slowly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
around at all of yeah. Here it's just
Yeah.
we can laugh about everything now. We can make jokes. I love it when people make fun of this character
Yeah.
because it's not
Yeah. Well,
taken seriously anymore.
I love the lightness about that too, like with my spiritual friends from way back. I mean, it's like we speak just totally different. It's so like you just can't even, I mean, when you talk about it, it's so
Yeah,
weird now. I
yeah.
had a guy that came over that Richard brought over and he wanted to know more about this. And I said, don't ever bring anyone over and tell him about this ever again because it's so nothing to offer. It's as dry as a bone. It's so
Yeah,
like, there's no getting better. Like there's nothing, like, he sounded so romantic and, because he'd just been to see Joe Dispenza and there was just this whole offering of,
yeah. It's like a recovery from all of the fantasy, right? So when someone is still, and again, it's also it, to be honest with you, right?
yeah,
That's
of
also it.
course.
It is what it is, right? But it's um oh, I have a funny, 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 funny story. I'm gonna tell you this. Funny, right? So there was I got a message, wanting me to speak, at a place here in Toronto. Um, but it was at a fancy kind of like, um, meditation yoga place and everything, right? So, um, I I finally said, you know what? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? So, I'm like, why would they be interested in me speaking to them and everything? Just completely confused, So went there, like dressed up like Funky Emerson, and walked in there. And then I walked in there and they're like, "Oh, thank you for coming, Emerson. Would you like a mala bead or a bowl?"
What?
A mala bead and a bowl, like a singing, bowl. And I looked
Yeah,
around,
yeah.
it was all meditation cushions, and oh,
Mm.
um, I'm like, the um, they're like, we're so happy what you hear. We heard that your meditation classes are wonderful. And I'm like, I don't really do meditation. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. So I sat there, you know what I'm saying? And I opened my mouth and I'm like, all that there is this.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, so it became kind of like a mini 5 minute kind of like non-duality talk. And
Yeah,
then people were
yeah.
like, that was such a top shelf high-end meditation. Let's do this again. People were like so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like
It
it's
was so
funny,
wild, right?
that meditation thing, like, because that's what that guy that came over
Yeah,
here that wanted to know about
yeah,
non-duality, he was saying, do you meditate? And I
yeah.
was like, this is meditation, and then he's like, well, maybe I'll get to where you are one day. And I thought, wow, this is hilarious, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
like, that's the whole idea is that the chase
The
of,
chase, yeah,
yeah, like something, always something, and it'll never be this. And that's where I was like,
yeah,
constantly chasing it and never thinking that it was already, it's like what, yeah, it's just here already and you can miss it. Well, you can't miss it, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
A- And
yeah,
yeah, it's brilliant, right? So the owner
it
of
is brilliant. I love
the
it.
owner of the studio goes, "We're gonna have you back again." You know, like I always say this when a meditation teacher comes in and they don't instruct, they are really well experienced.
Yeah,
They just didn't
yeah,
know
yeah,
that. They just didn't know
yeah,
that I did not do a meditation class. I just talked for like 5 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
And people were coming and they're like, that was such a great meditation. I'm like, thank you.
yeah. Yeah. And now the spiritual friends, I can just talk about how did you make that soup? Or, like
Oh,
it's just,
yeah.
because, yeah,
You know what's
it's,
awesome is that I'm not weird to my friends anymore. I'm normal again.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah.
would say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. I think that they probably think, oh, at least she's off that spirituality shit,
Yeah.
now.
Well, I would hang out with my old high school friends, right? People from, my youth before when I was spiritual teacher. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna lower my vibrations, right? I'm like, but it's fun, right? It's fun.
Yeah, yeah,
And then my brother would be like, Emerson doesn't drink anymore. Don't give him any booze and everything, right? So I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's gonna lower my vibration and everything. Um,
yeah,
Now there's just freedom, right? There's just
yeah.
freedom. It's just what it is. And again, there's also no more really judgments with spiritual people anymore too.
No,
But even if judgment come, that's okay too.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Just throw that in there.
yeah. There there was this there was this person in the meditation class that reeked of nagchampa and I was sneezing. Like someone just poured nagchampa, like incense.
Hey, I'm burning that at the
I
moment.
love it actually, but not in a
I do too. That's
not in
one
a
of my
cologne.
little spirituality things that still stays. I like the smell.
You see it? It's a
Ah, you're burning the
incense.
candle.
It's an incense candle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, champa.
No, no, it just smells like
Oh.
patchouli. Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Emerson.
Thank you. Yeah. So the person that owned the studio asked me again, what do you call that meditation? I'm like, it's called non-duality. Some protecting the queen, but the queen cannot be protected forever. Yeah. It's just an appearance, right? So there is going to be this coming and going, happening and happening, loving, not loving, peace, not piecing, but it's the same. And there's going to be a sense of me, and there's going to be a sense of no me, meaning that there's no sense at all. It just doesn't make sense, right? Because We don't see that when there's just what seems to be happening, when there's no thoughts, there's no me there already. Sometimes you're washing the dishes, doing housework. I love doing housework because there's no one doing it, right? It's just like all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's clean. The our laundry what do you call washer machine broke, right? So I had to go to a laundromat, right? And I'm like, I'll do everyone's laundry. It's okay. It doesn't matter because no one's doing it. Before I'd be like, oh, why am I doing laundry for everybody at the age of, 52, that kind of thing, right? It doesn't matter. And the idea of success, the idea of whatever seems to appear is just it. Appearing as just, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to say. Any ideas doesn't matter anymore. Everything is equally the same without meaning and without value. Yeah. Even if you think it has value and it has meaning, it's still without meaning and without value. It always goes back to that. And there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just really an empty stage for what is. Whatever seems to arise is it. But it's also not it. Someone said, can we do Oh yeah, yeah. Um we can um we can stop the recording kind of like what we did the last time. Is that right? Yeah, okay.